Listen, my friends, listen. Okay, the Ravens, they got a return matchup right now. Okay, they got a potential bounce back opportunity against the Cleveland Browns, a divisional foe who, for whatever reason, always tends to have the Ravens number, especially. It's more so middle of the season when they had a Ravens number, but early in the season, I honestly feel like the Ravens start off slow because of preseason, but that's a whole nother discussion. But look, y'all, the Ravens got the Browns this week. It's week 2. It's a divisional opponent. The Ravens have to bounce back. Let's talk about how they can do it right here in the Be More Show. All right, y'all. What's going on with y'all? Look. Welcome into the Be More Show. I'm your host, DJ Bill, back once again. Okay. And I appreciate y'all for tuning in. If y'all hanging out with me, I appreciate you. Let's talk. Baltimore Ravens, Cleveland Browns. But first, let's just go back real quick because we got to look back at the past just to make sure we don't repeat it in our future. And look, disappointing. We talked about it before. We talked about it on the instant reaction and how we felt. It was disappointing, right? We can't lie. It was disappointing. But the silver lining is the Ravens dominated the Buffalo Bills for 3 quarters. They did. They just got to finish. But that has become the whole not finishing the game. That's become a problem for the Baltimore Ravens for probably the past 3 years or so. And, I got to thinking, I got to thinking, and I always like to provide a little bit of context when it comes down to these conversations. And I want you guys to let me know what you guys think down below as well. But the Ravens didn't have this problem with Greg Roman, right? And look, I've given credit to Todd Monken time and time again. Now, albeit, Greg Roman worked with top 5 defenses that was going to turn you over. We talking about turnovers every single game. Wasn't breaking at all. They was barely bending. So, now there was some, we've talked about it time and time again. Like there were some moments where they broke at the wrong times, but overall they were a good defense statistically, right? Overall, they did pretty well. Overall, you weren't squandering leads under Greg Roman as offensive coordinator. So then you factor in Todd Monken, which like I said, I feel like Todd Monken is a better coordinator. I feel like Todd Monken is a more talented play caller in all those aspects. But it seems odd that the Ravens cannot finish games under Todd Monken. I honestly think, this is just an opinion of mine. Feel free to have yours in the comments. I honestly think that John Harbaugh has a little more control over what Todd Monken does than he had over Greg Roman. Because even still, let's just hypothetically say, the Ravens were finishing games with Gus the Bus, J.K. Dobbins, Mike Davis, and all these other guys, right? Melvin Gordon. So why is it with Derrick Henry they can't finish games? That's odd. Derrick Henry, a better receiving core, you can't finish games. So it makes you wonder: is it just the coaches on the end out coaching you? I think so, yes, but I think this is just a bold claim, but I think that the fact that Greg Roman didn't have the passing acumen when it came to play calling, honestly, may have helped him and may have helped us finish games even easier because Greg Roman wasn't going away from what he knew, except for in the playoffs, of course. But in some of these other big games throughout the regular season, he wasn't going away from what he knew, and drops was a big part of those issues too. So it's very interesting, right? To think that Todd Monken is probably a better play caller. We probably have the advantage with Todd Monken being that guy. But for whatever reason, the Ravens can't get out of their own way. And that's what the Ravens are going to have to do. I felt like at the end of the season, I felt like the Ravens, last year, John Harbaugh had kind of like taken his hand off the gas a little bit, right? He had kind of said like, hey, like, I am I'm gonna let my guys do what they do, right? And I thought that was a good thing. I think he should continue to do that. I think he should continue to do that. He should definitely do that. But coming into this game against the Buffalo Bills, I mean, against the Buffalo Bills, there was a lot of excitement, but we saw that this team can be dominant. This defense can get stops. But then the defense folded in the second half, and the offense, there was turnovers, but also the offense just couldn't finish. Right? They could not finish. They could not get first downs. And I don't know if it's that the Ravens are trying to get chunk plays like that. Like, I mean, I don't even think that's what it is either. I think it's simply just they're being conservative, and it's not working because that's what John Harbaugh does, right? John Harbaugh, I think by nature is a conservative coach, right? I think he is a conservative coach, and I think the Ravens got to get out of that. They have to get out of that because, I mean, think about it. The fourth quarter on, I mean, we saw it, week 2, a couple years ago against Miami. This was a situation where the Ravens don't never give up that lead. So what's changed, right? Of course, the offensive coordinator's changed, but you got to think control has changed a little bit, y'all. I mean, there has to be a little bit more. Greg Roman had to have a little bit more control simply based on the fact that, I mean, his running scheme was really good, but he probably had a little more control because he didn't have the passing acumen that Todd Monken has. So I don't know. I just, like I said, I'm still frustrated by it. I'm still frustrated about a result. I'm frustrated about how it played out. So, but how did they bounce back against the Browns? Look, I'm gonna do my 3-2 strategy, 3-2 zone. Okay, I don't know. That's what we're gonna call it for today. Okay, the 3-2 zone. Okay, 3 things the Ravens got to do to win this game, and 2 of the things that the Ravens got to avoid to win this game. Let's start with the 2. The 2 things they got to avoid, and simply the reason I'm starting here is because we just mentioned it. They can't be conservative. If you get a lead on this Browns team, like the Browns are the type of team to play the Ravens. You let them hang around, they're gonna beat you. Especially against the Ravens specifically. Maybe not against anybody else, but if you let the Browns stick around for long enough, they're gonna beat you. Especially if we're talking about matchups against Baltimore. I don't think this defense will have a problem. Honestly, it's kind of an unfair type situation because I don't think that this defense is going to have a problem stopping the Browns because I don't think the Browns necessarily have the offensive talent of some of the other teams that they're going to face. They don't have the offensive talent of the Bills. They definitely don't have the offensive talent of the Bengals who you see in week 3. So it really makes you wonder, it really makes you wonder, like, what's the best way for the Ravens to kind of get out of their own way in this regard and not be conservative, right? If you get a lead, like I said, I'm at a loss for words for what in the world the Ravens do when they get conservative. It just doesn't, I'm gonna have to look at it a little bit deeper because I'm just like, what in the world? Like, how is it that Greg Roman couldn't call a pass play to save his life? But dang on, I mean, if you gonna finish a game, you didn't have to worry. There was no worries about finishing games back then, right? There was more worries about getting behind. So now we can come back from behind. But we can't finish games. Weird. You would think finishing games would be the easier part, especially when you got a Hall of Fame running back and a future Hall of Famer at QB. So, Anyway, look, y'all. Very, very interesting to me. Just very, very interesting to me. All right, the second one of what you have to avoid if you're a Raven, man. And I mean, this is not necessarily a technical one. I'm gonna throw this one out here. You can't get involved too much in the emotions of it because I think for whatever reason, the Browns kind of get in the Ravens' head a little bit, right? The Ravens got to know how to counterpunch against the Browns because for whatever reason, the Browns, when they play the Ravens, they come out swinging. They might be blind, but they come out swinging, and they're going to hit something, especially when they play the Ravens. They're going to hit something. So you got to learn how to counterpunch, and I mean, that's a lesson for later on in the season, specifically the postseason, but you got to learn how to counterpunch. If they punch you in the mouth, especially this defense, you got to know how to respond. Now, I expect the Ravens to get scored on every first possession there ever was. Like I just expected at this point. But after that, I give you a little bit of leeway after that, during that first possession, because you're trying to figure out what their identity is. It's a new season. I get it, right? It's a new season. A lot of these teams you play one time. Of course, the division you play twice, but especially when you first start playing them, there's no Nick Chubb anymore. Like, things, Joe Flacco is back there under center. There's going to be a little bit of emotion going into this game. Joe Flacco is a starter with a rival team. Like, you can't let the emotion carry you, though. You can't let the emotion be a problem. And the Ravens have been pretty good at that. But I think when it comes to division rivals, that's why the Steelers have beaten the Ravens time and time again. I mean, obviously there's actual X's and O's that goes into that too. But I think the emotions of it has also been an issue, right? Has also been an issue. I think emotion plays a lot into this game. So stay calm. You got to stay calm under pressure. If you get punched, you got to counter punch. All right. 3 things the Ravens got to do to win this game. Take care of the football. The Ravens, I'd love to see the record that the Ravens are when they take care of the football. And I know, we all know mistakes happen, things come up. You fumble the football, it's raining sometimes, right? Somebody makes a good play on the ball, like things happen. Like I get that. But I think you got to continue to play clean games. I mean, my thing is, you're not going to really turn the ball over against the Bills and win the game. You're just not. It's like that's how that type of thing goes. You're not going to turn the ball over against the Bills or the Chiefs or a team of that caliber, the Eagles, and win those type of games. So you're in trouble then. But I think you're also in trouble when you turn the ball over against the divisional rival, because the Browns are built on defense, and that defense always seems to be pretty consistent and pretty good. I mean, they held a really talented Bengals team that still don't have offensive line, but they are talented. They held a really talented Bengals team to 17 points. 17 points. You got to show that your offense is better than the Bengals. Even though maybe in the receiver room you don't have that type of talent, but you got to show like, hey, like this team's good, right? This offense is good and we can finish. Number 2. Let's do offense and let's do defense. So offensively, I think what the Ravens have to do, I think the Ravens gotta establish that run game, right? Still leaning to the run game, because if you can establish the run game against this team, against the Browns, against that front seven, then it's going to open up your pass game so much more, right? Because we know the Browns live and die by their front seven. They do have talented corners. They do have talented secondary players, but it's the front seven for the Browns that really makes the bread and butter for this defense. So if you can, I would even say, if you can run at Myles Garrett and really try to rough him up a little bit with some of your offensive linemen, with some of your pullers, right? I don't know if Alele is going to be going to necessarily be that guy this week, but the way he was playing last week, but still, right? But still, at the end of the day, you have to attack those guys, even the talented guys. You got to attack them, because I know last week they was running away from Bosa and just trying to stay away from those guys. If those guys aren't ready for the spotlight, they got to go. Faalele didn't look good last week at all. If he ain't ready, he got to go. Ben Cleveland is still sitting there. Let him have a crack at it. There's a couple other guys, that I didn't feel like was going to even make the team, but they did. And because they did, there's always opportunity. There's always opportunity. If somebody's impressing you on a Faalele, you have to pull the trigger. There ain't no loyalty right now. I'm sorry. There ain't no loyalty right now. I'm trying to see who what the game statuses are as of Friday. Okay. So Bate and Jair seem to be fine. Metabika seems to be fine. Likely's out and Patrick Ricard's out. I think that could have been another thing too. I'm gonna be honest with y'all. The Ravens utilized Patrick Ricard as practically another offensive lineman, and honestly, he sometimes at what he does plays better than our offensive lineman. So I think that could have been another thing too. And that honestly probably could have been another reason why they went conservative. I know that doesn't explain the rest of the time they go conservative, but just last week in particular, I can see it. Maybe. Ain't no stretching. Who knows? 86 goes. What's up? Appreciate you for coming by as always. Definitely appreciate you. But look, number three on the last, as we wrap up, this defense got to turn this team over. They have to. Look, to me, it's my opinion. Sometimes I use that. But this team has to get turnovers. They have to. I'm concerned. And I mean, let me put it to you this way. They got to make impactful plays. I'm gonna put it to you that like that. Because I'm not talking about just turnovers. We have to get sacks. Because last week probably brought up the Ravens of old to me. And when I say the Ravens of old, I'm not talking about good old. I'm talking about the Ravens of old post Matt Judon in that little in-between period where the Ravens weren't top of the league at getting sacks. I didn't see not one lick of pressure last week. I'm sorry, y'all. I did not see it. Okay? I did not see it. That's no worries. Look, that is no worries at all. I just appreciate you for coming by. You got the notifications on. Look, some of your friends and your friends that's also watching this show need to turn the notifications on too. Look, they need to follow in 86 Goes footsteps, okay? Look, but look, y'all, this defense got to become opportunistic. This is my thing. Look, I don't need the Ravens defense to be elite. I don't need it. I don't need an elite defense from the Ravens anymore. What I need is an elite offense, which they are. An offense that can finish games, which we'll see. But what I do need is I need an opportunistic defense from the Ravens. You ain't got to be the greatest defense of all time, but you have to turn people over and you have to get pressure. Because once you start getting pressure, you're gonna get some of those turnovers. I mean, I think the root is the pressure. I think. That's me, though. Look, we got to improve, okay? The Ravens got to improve. This is a bounce-back game, but this is the perfect week to bounce back. Divisional opponent you know very well. Quarterback you know very well. This is the time to bounce back. I think the Ravens will. Look, Ravens win big. I'm going with it. Y'all. The Ravens win big on Sunday. I'm excited. And, they gonna get us. They gonna get us, okay? Look, complimentary. I like that word. Complimentary. They just need to compliment how good this offense is because this offense is elite. But if you're going to give them 40 points, we're going to be in trouble, okay? I'm just telling y'all. All right, look, I appreciate y'all for coming by, as always. Hope you guys enjoyed the show. Look, I promise y'all I'm gonna hit y'all with an instant reaction after the game on Sunday. Am I going out of town this week? No, I don't. Not this week. But anywho, doesn't matter. I'm still gonna hit y'all with an instant reaction. It don't matter. The scenery might change, but I'm gonna hit y'all with instant reaction regardless. All right. So I'm gonna hit y'all with an instant reaction definitely this week. And then of course we'll do a full wrap up on Tuesday, and then on Thursday we'll preview the game. Just I'm putting this to memory for myself right now, but also for you all as well, just so y'all know what's going on. But look, y'all, I definitely hope you guys enjoy it. 86 Goes. Look, I appreciate you for always hanging out with the live stream. Look, we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show. All major podcasts and platforms. You know that's where we at. All major podcasts and platforms. But look, y'all, I'll see you guys on the next episode. Hit that subscribe button as well. Turn notifications on like my friend over there, 86 Goes. Look, we'll see you guys on the next episode of the Be More Show.